in Europe, and it's increasingly affecting us in the UK on an almost daily basis. 08704 20 20 20. That's the number, 08704 20 20 20. We were talking about an addiction to mobile phones, and young people have been asked to try and restrain themselves. Dell's in London. Hello, Dell. You're on talkSPORT.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning, Dell.
Nice to talk to you for the first time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Long-time listener of yours on the other place, by the way. But
Oh.
nice to talk to you for this place.
Thank you.
You're better over anyway. About the addiction, it's not just the mobile phones youngsters are addicted to. They're addicted also to the email and the texting as well.
Called the texting. I tell you what, my friend's got two sons, and they both like texting, and I'm sitting watching the television, on a night off or something, and suddenly, boom! And so one's written me, looks like 300 words on something, so I better reply. And then suddenly the program's finished, and I'm thinking, oh dear, and his brother sends me one. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Poor Uncle Mike.
I could understand that myself, what kids myself. I drive a taxi in London. Now, occasionally I might get a group of young girls going home for a night out or something. And you always hear, as one of them gets out, as we drop each of them off at their destination, you can always hear, I'll text you when I get in. Or I'll ring you when I get home.
Yes.
Why couldn't they talk while they're together? Why do they now have to strike up a conversation now they're 2 or 3 miles away?
Yeah.
That's the trouble with kids today, you see. They can only really communicate because I think the art of communication is lost, the art of speech. I mean, two adults could sit there and have a, pretty deep conversation about various topics, whereas 2 kids really can't. They talk really something trivial. Not that there's anything wrong with that because they're young people, but they seem to want to get into a deep conversation once they're apart from each other. I mean, the examples you see, for example, 2 girls walking down the street, and like you said with 2 boys with a football, they're both on mobile phones talking to other people instead of talking to each other.
That's
you
right.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So, of course, now, they're all in a cab. I use my cab as an example, that's my work. They're all in there, and maybe 1 or 2 of them might be on the phone talking to someone else. Well, the other 2 might be nattering to each other, but as they get out, they're sort of saying, I'll text you when I get home, or I'll phone you when I get home. And I sort of think to myself sometimes, well, why can't they talk? They're all together. Talk now. That's an observation I've noticed over the last few years, which I've noticed with young people, especially girls in particular, I've noticed.
Yes.
More girls than boys. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's what I've noticed personally.
Yeah, well, you tend to see... There was a time when everybody seemed to have a mobile phone, and if they weren't using it as a phone, they'd be using it as a games machine.
Yes.
And then, about 9 months ago, you didn't see anyone carrying a mobile phone.
Well, there's a crime element on that part, isn't there?
Yeah, very quiet.
People get them hidden.
Yeah, but now you see, you're absolutely right, Dill, you see a lot of women, young women, teenagers, talking on a mobile phone.
But Mike, sorry to interrupt you, there's another phenomena as well, which is very annoying actually. Young guys, we're talking about chatty sort of guys, walking along the street playing music on the phone. Now, but the greatest will in the world, that little speaker on the phone isn't a 10-inch subwoofer.
No.
If you know what I mean. All those people into audio and sound there. And it's got this tinny, annoying music, and they're walking down the street with this annoying thing coming out of the phone. And I'm thinking to myself, either it's me getting old, or something's wrong with me. They can't be enjoying that, surely. They must be doing it to annoy everybody else around them. I'm pretty sure of that. I've seen guys riding mopeds and push bikes with this thing blaring out. Off of a phone.
No, you're absolutely right. I tend to go out every day for a bit of a run. Mm-hmm. Well, you'd laugh if you saw it. But
thanks for the mental image, mate.
And there's a lot of young people walking around, you're absolutely right, playing, they switch the speaker button on, and they're playing the music.
Yeah,
and,
you call it that.
Now, careful. People will think
We're getting old.
Well, you pretend not. It's nice to talk to you. Thanks very much, Del.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye. Right. Talk Sport. I wanted to apologise. We had a little bit of a problem with the play-out system. All right, let's put it this way. Somebody played the wrong sports news. Terribly sorry. Awfully sorry. We didn't know that was going to happen. So, here's Russell Hope. We named the guilty. Here's Russell Hope.
talkSPORT, the radio station which could drink any other radio station under the table.
Hi, gentlemen.
talkSPORT.
We were talking about Germany, France, and Italy's decision not to get involved in supporting the British armed forces fighting in Afghanistan. And I suggested that maybe this will have some effect on the way Britain sees the rest of Europe. Interestingly enough, Ali, who heard that when he or she was on the A303, that's a nice stretch of road to be on at night, isn't it? I'm not saying one should go speeding, but there's some nice sweepy bends. Ali says, with no troops, I think it's the end of NATO, and I think we should send more from the UK and sort it out for good. You know that's what's going to happen. We're going to sort it out. And then when we look at these other people, should we just... And it's hands up on this, so you can send me a text or an email or call, whatever, you know, so it's 81089 or talksport.net or call 08704 2020. As our fellow European Union members pledged to help us and didn't in the final analysis, should we send them an invoice? I know you can't bring back terribly badly injured people and present that. You can't buy it back. But I do believe that you should pay something towards the British Army's greater excess, simply because you, in Germany and France and Italy, didn't have the nuts to stand up and stand by your word. There should be a total ban if you drink and you drive. This is a message from one of my regular listeners. It said it should be the law that you can't drive until 24 hours after your last drink. That's Andy on the M40. Thanks, Andy. Rennie's at Tile Hill in Coventry. Hello, Rennie.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Germany's contribution.
Oh, yeah?
I've been listening all night, and I keep hearing that Germany has not done anything. In fact, just because it's not reported in the paper doesn't mean to say that is so. Germany got troops still in Yugoslavia, Germany got troops in Afghanistan, and Germany got troops in Iraq. And from tomorrow on, the German Navy has put 2,500 men to patrol in Lebanon, the coast, you know, against armament and things. So I think it's a bit unfair what's been said if people don't know the facts.
No, I'm not disagreeing that they've appeared off Lebanon and appeared.
That is been passed tonight.
Yes. But they did promise, together with Italy and France, to be part of the defence force against the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Yes, well, they're there.
Well, not yet, they're not.
They are in Afghanistan. Only last week some bodies were flown home.
I understand now why we're at odds. They're not engaged. Do you understand the expression?
Yes, I do understand that.
They're not engaged. Their instruction is not to engage.
But they still get killed, you know.
Sorry?
They still get killed over there.
Well, according to today's press, they're not engaging.
Well, I don't know. But I think it's most unfair. Also, Germany is the biggest contributor to the European market as well, far more than Britain pays. And people never mention that fact either, you know.
Well, there's a lot more of them than there are people living here.
Well, yes, but even then they've always paid a lot more. But I think it's very unfair. I mean, they've also put up field hospitals and all sorts of things, and you know, to say they don't contribute at all.
Well, I think to be fair, Rennie, I did mention Italy, France and Germany.
Yeah. So
this is not a rant against Germany. It's just that they happen to be at the wrong end of my observations.
Yeah, well, it wasn't you. It was some listeners as well. But I mean, you know, it doesn't seem right to me. to be like that. Apart from that, well, since the last war and things, Germany's always been very reluctant to even enter anything again, you know. They even had to have Israel's permission to bring the Navy in over there and things. So, well, I think it's quite unfair because also money-wise they've always been on the forefront with supplying things, and, you know, I think France is different, but, I mean, I can't really talk on that one. But,
do you have German roots?
Pardon?
Do you have German roots?
Yes, yeah. Yes, and I mean, I watch the stations every night in Germany. I know exactly what's going on, and quite often things aren't reported in the paper at all, you know.
Well, can I ask a kindness of you?
Pardon?
Can I ask a kindness of you?
Yeah.
That when I'm on...
Yeah.
That you call and tell me what's been being reported in Germany on the German television stations.
Yeah.
There we are. Have you got a deal?
Yes, that's fine. But because only that way can you find out really what's going on, you know.
That's why I've asked you if you'll do that for me.
Yeah. There's always quite a few things that aren't mentioned at all. Some good things, you know.
And you never know. You might be able to negotiate a big discount on a car for me. Good night, sweetheart.
Well, that's all I wanted to say, but you know, nothing is always one-sided, you know.
No, but thanks, Rennie. Good to talk to you. My number's 08704 20 20 20. 08704 20 20 20. Or I'll take the odd text on 81089 or email talksport.net. TalkSport from Stuart Hepburn. A hot message. If I was offered 100 G's to move, I would. I'll be that quick. I'll take the hand with me with the cash. I don't like Aberdeen and I've got to get out. Oh dear. All those Aberdonians, and what are they feeling now? Totally alone. We've been talking about Germany's part in the wars with Renee from Tar Hill in Coventry. Joining the programme now is Erica from Norwich. Hello, Erica. Good morning.
Good morning to you. I had an experience yesterday on the train to London.
You're not going to embarrass me now, are you?
Would I do that?
Probably.
Probably not. Anyway.
Yes.
And there was a chap sitting behind me on the mobile phone, speaking with an extremely loud voice, and he did all but rape his girlfriend on the phone.
No.
I have never heard a conversation like it in my life till I had to get up and ask him to please stop.
Oh, dear.
It was that, you know. But anyway, that was just one incident. It was really it just wasn't pleasant to hear, you know.
Did you ever see that film with Michael Caine? It was called Get Carter.
Oh, yes.
Was it more explicit than that?
I would say a little bit so, yes.
Wow.
Yes, well, anyway.
There are some people, you know, that would... Perhaps if you'd have had your mobile phone there, you could have recorded the moment and, and maybe sold it to help a charity, you know.
Yeah, could have done something. But anyway, babies have dummies stuck in their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Half the kids in the streets are eating, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then older children are on the telephone or on the mobile phones. I mean, it just seems to me that their mouths have always got to do something, you know.
That's interesting.
And then if they're not doing that, they're smoking. Now, I was in the States and I've just come back, and there were 2 restaurants that asked the people if, when they came in, did they have a mobile phone, and one said yes, and they said, would you not use it in the restaurant?
Really?
Yeah, so that's how it's becoming. Well, I hope it comes that way over here, because I have found, I mean, it's purely my own experience, but when anyone gets on a mobile phone, it appears to me that their voice has to be elevated.
Yes, and do you know that is so not true?
Not true.
No, I'm not saying... I believe what you say, that people who use a mobile phone believe, a lot of them, that they have to shout.
Yes.
But I'm saying it's so not true, you don't have to.
Oh, no, you don't have to. I mean, well, but they do.
I know. But I think it's an excuse, because I've got a feeling that at the root of it, these people imagine a lot of calls, and they're walking down the street and they're saying, well, tell him we'll give him 550,000, but not a penny more. And they're doing all this, and you think, I think they're acting. Yeah.
Well, as I say, I'd rather see a phone stuck to an ear than I would do bags of chips going in mouths, I'll tell you.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay. I mentioned earlier on, and I look to you for your input here, I mentioned earlier on that when it comes to younger people eating fast food or whatever, that if portion control could be exercised, smaller portions, that would help.
Well, there was a time, you know, when you didn't eat in the street.
Yes.
There was a time when you didn't eat in the street and you didn't drink in the street.
Yeah, and actually that wasn't that long ago.
Not really. No, it was not that long ago.
It's about 30 years ago.
Yeah, well now they do everything with their mouths. They suck dummies, they eat, they, you know, smoke cigarettes. Oh, and that's another thing in the United States, well, where I was anyway. You're not allowed to smoke 20 yards outside a shop.
Really?
Yes. You know, if you want a cigarette, you've got to go quite some distance away from the shop that you're in. They won't have it.
There's a part of me that really supports it, but I wish that people were given the option to do it voluntarily.
Yeah, well, you are given voluntarily. You don't till you do have a cigarette. That's voluntary.
Call me again.
And you. Bye.
Bye-bye. talkSPORT. Alan's called us. He's on the M1. Hello, Alan. Hang on a minute. Hang on, Alan. There we are. Hello, Alan. Got you.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, that's fine. Yeah. That's great. Sorry to keep you waiting.
It's okay. In essence, the Afghanistan situation and the Germany's reluctance to get involved in the combat side of it.
Yes.
Is it been in the German constitution? You know, going back to the war and that.
Yeah.
They've not been held back in that role for many years. They didn't want to be seen going in as a combat force in other countries. Was that not part of the NATO agreement when it was set up after the war?
When it was set up, but I believe it changed because in the Iraq I think it was the first Iraq war, when Iraq invaded Kuwait.
Yeah.
Okay. They had German military personnel there, but they weren't in an aggressive. They were like in support units.
Yeah, you had like engineers and that there, didn't you?
That sort of thing. I don't think they were engineers, but that sort of thing. And then I think they became the second Iraq conflict. I think they were actually flying. I think they had about 6 planes there. But they're not invisible from the operation. They're just not engaging.
Yeah, I just think that the other European countries, really, it's Britain and America's war, and Germany, Spain, Italy, France, and the rest of the European countries and NATO countries are very reluctant to get into this in the first place. And I think
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, take Spain, for example. When Spain withdrew its troops out of Iraq, but they still got bombed, didn't they, by terrorists?
They got bombed, and then they had a change of government, and then they pulled the troops out.
Yeah.
But that was they was only doing what the will of the people, the Spanish people, wanted to do. The Spanish people voted that they didn't want a government which was supporting this war. They got the government what they elected, and that government honoured its word and pulled the troops out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's Blair and Bush keep going on about democracy. That's democracy working.
Well, in truth, Alan, I don't think any of us would have liked to have seen even the merest smell of a conflict. But it's happened, and we've got to make the best of it, the best we can.
Yeah, I disagree with you on that, Mike. I think the Americans have been itching for this for years, to go into the Middle East. They had trouble with the Saudis. The Saudis were under pressure from its own population. The Saudi government was in a state where it could be toppled probably in the next 5 to 10 years. They pulled a lot of the troops out of Saudi Arabia, and now they need a new base, which is in Iraq, and eventually probably into Iran.
They haven't got the troops at the moment to go into Iran, as a land force, but they no doubt will be doing military airstrikes against them.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that America's planned this and has a deep and carefully worked out strategy. My only concern is that so far it's proven to be a bit crap. And I'm not talking about the troops, I'm just talking about the strategy.
Yeah, I think the troops have been led up a bloody alleyway. Blur, it's not been thought out. Maybe some of our own military people were strong enough to point out what do we do, what is the objective after the basic war in Iraq was a walkover. There was no way they could have took on the strength of it, especially the Americans.
I don't want to labour this point, and I've said it before, but I just float it past you. How was it that America got so shirty when they were asked to, or they asked for weapons of mass destruction to be verified as present? And they went through, the inspectors went through and they couldn't find anything. And everyone was looking around and saying, well, they can't find anything. America's got so many spy satellites, they can get facial recognition from miles up in space. They didn't need UN investigators. They could tell you what time a truck came out of a building and who was driving it and where it was going.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you go back from the end of the so-called First Gulf War, we've had a no-fly zone over the country for almost 10 years. They must have known, well, like you say, with the spy satellites, and anything what moved, what wasn't supposed to move, was shot down by either the Americans
or the British.
Or the British.
Yeah.
It's a total fallacy to say there were weapons of mass destruction. We've all seemed to forgot that was a no-fly zone for nearly 10 years, and we must have known that, this so-called Downing Street dossier sexed up by Campbell, and it was just a complete nonsense. It was just an excuse to go in there.
Well, we got mugged. We got mugged. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the case, I think, Mike, of people not taking enough interest in politics and what's actually going on in our country.
Yeah, and even aware of spy satellites.
Well, yeah, I mean, we say we've got all this technology, and then we say,
and try and pretend they don't use it. Exactly. You drive safe, Alan. Call us again. Thank you. You're listening to Talk Sport. I'm Mike Allen. My number, by the way, I'd love to talk to you, is 08704 20 20 20. 08704 20 20 20. Morning. Many thanks for the emails and for the texts. One here said, our troops are in fighting form on the front line. When the likes of Germany, France and Italy have troops there too, but with the clause where they do not fight the Taliban. Why? I don't know, perhaps they're trying to be all things to all people. 0870 4 20 20 20. Chris is in Liverpool. Let me just get this computer fired up. Come on, sweetheart, off you go. That's it, lovely. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, sorry to keep you waiting. You were a young man when you first called me, weren't you?
I'll have to go and have a shave first thing in the morning. I was ringing in relation to the shortage of troops in Iraq and
yeah, according to the paper today, Britain has got 5,000 there. But I can remember going back about 6 weeks ago when people who were speaking on behalf of the military had told the government that they need more people.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, should we not lead by example and introduce conscription again? And then the rest of the European Union would see that they could actually utilise the same method that we do. I know they say they don't want to send troops, but realistically, the whole of Europe is, like it or not, at war. Because if we get defeated, everybody gets defeated. Because it's not going to stop with us. If we pick up our skirts and run home, then it's only going to be a matter of time before they come through Europe, isn't it? They're not going to just go, okay, well, that's it, they've gone home.
Oh, no.
Let's forget it. That's it, we won.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They're going to go, oh, we'll go and get them now.
Yeah.
It's not going to be it's a standard fight situation. It's not a negotiated option. We haven't got an option. The way I see it is that the war was brought to us. We didn't go looking for it. I mean,
no, I think that's a very good expression. It was brought to us. We didn't go looking for it. Yeah.
So with that being said, as they've raised the age of having the option to join the territorial army to 60, and as I'm now 50 and I've done some military...
Are you really?
Yeah.
You don't sound it.
I'm struggling really hard to stop myself sliding down the hill. I feel exceptionally old at the moment.
Oh,
just
dear.
lack of sleep.
Well, it's probably because you've been waiting to speak to me for so long. Well, you don't sound it. You don't sound it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Now, tell me, we're talking about conscription. My understanding, I'm just trying to marshal my thoughts up here. There was 6 weeks basic training when they had conscription before.
Yeah.
But did they send them out into a conflict situation hard on the back of that 6 weeks? Because I would have thought they'd have been, sheep to a slaughter, wouldn't they?
Well, it would be a situation where the ones who wanted to actually go into a fighting battalion could do so, and the rest could just be support. I mean, I've got friends who were in the TA who actually went out there, and they were in the 30s and 40s. They were only support. The ones who wanted to actually see action and actually be involved in the fighting were able to do so because they requested it. As far as I'm led to believe, I wasn't there to actually witness anything. It's only what they've told me.
Sure.
So if that's the case, is it a situation where people should be conscripted, and would there be any reason why you wouldn't be conscripted? I mean, could you use religion, for instance, as a reason to not be conscripted? And I think if you're going to use that, then that would be unfair, because your country comes before your religion. At least it should in my book, because this is where you live, and this is where your family are and your roots are. And I know there are going to be some first generation immigrants that could use that, but certainly not second, third, and fourth generation. I mean, if you've been here 50, 60 years and your children are here, they've all been brought up here, they've all been fed, watered and nurtured here, then those children should have the opportunity to make sure that the homeland is safe. I don't want to sound over patriotic there.
No.
I mean, realistically, that's the idea was to fight them on their own ground rather than have foreign battles in the cities in the UK and America. And that's the option that will come about if we decide to pull out. And I think that option may come quite shortly if we're in a situation where them planes are starting to come home with hundreds of body bags rather than 15 and 16.
Yeah, I don't want to appear hard-nosed or uncaring, but it wasn't until America started having a big problem with that area in the Vietnam War that they started to take it a little bit more seriously.
Exactly, that's why they pulled out.
Yeah.
Because the planes were coming back full of body bags.
Yeah.
Now we don't want that situation to elevate in the confrontation we've got in these countries. The only way that would come about is if we didn't support our troops. And as they're in the situation, and I respect each and every one of them, and I hope, God, if there is one, keeps them all safe. But realistically, we have to say, if we're going to get beaten and we're going to come home, then it's not going to be too long before we're going to be followed by the insurgents that want to bring the trouble to our shores.
Good point, and well made. Thanks, Chris. I do wish you well. I hope you feel full of vitality later on today. Andy's in Bolton. Hello, Andy. Hello.
Hiya.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm just about this mobile phone that I've been hearing you speak about it.
Yes, apparently there's a report on one of the papers today that young people appear to have serious addiction problems with mobile phones.
Right, well, what I'm going to say is, I was one of these people up until about 3 years ago who, I hated the idea of mobile phones, but then I suddenly found myself living on my own. And where I actually live, it's a small block. There's about 8 bungalows, and either side of me I have 2 ladies. One's 86, one's 82. And since I've got the mobile phone, now I'm actually the youngest person that lives here. With me being the youngest one, I'm a little bit... At first, when I first moved in, I had a motorcycle and that, and they were a bit wary of me, but when I got to know them... Now, only tonight, my next-door neighbour, me and my mate, were sat in here listening to a bit of Led Zeppelin, and she had a problem. Now, when you're 82,